Okay, I'd like to open up the Public Work and Protection meeting on Tuesday, September 2. Roll call, please.
Gary Paul.
Here.
Jay Krieger.
Here.
Kelly Service. Here. Joanne Euclid. Here. And John Burnett.
Here.
Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Action on the agenda. Any additions or corrections?
Move to approve.
Second.
First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Action on the minutes of August 6, 2025. Any
Move to
corrections or
approve.
additions?
Second.
First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Item number 6, items to discuss and possible action. Item number A, consider, discuss, act on Class B beer / Class B liquor license extension for Titletown, specifically for special events. Chris, you were up.
So Titletown is requesting an extension of their premise for their Class B combo for special events. They've been asking individually lately, and so they're asking now if they can do it, you know, and they've been doing it for other things. So they're asking for the extension to be on the asphalt parking lot to the north, and they will have it barricaded. They said they're gonna have events there 4 to 6 times a year. And I talked to the chief, and he's perfectly fine with being notified 2 weeks ahead when they're gonna have something to get his approval.
Okay, Chief, you're good?
I am, yes.
Chris, I'm assuming the addition is the red outline, or why is that marked in red? Is that the
It's
parking
gonna
lot?
be,
I think it's the same area that they've been using over and over again.
correct.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
the green outline.
Okay, if nobody has any questions, I'll obtain a motion.
Move to approve the extension for the Class B beer, Class B liquor license to Titletown for special events. I gotta add in there 4 to 6 times a year.
Second.
We got a first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, item B, consider, discuss, act on amendment to the alcohol operators license approval policy. Joel,
All right, thank you, Gary. I'll introduce this item, and I'm sure Chief Rowling and Clerk Teskey have a few other items or comments that they can provide or feedback as well. This amended policy is being presented to committee for recommendation to the village board. This policy is used to give direction to staff to administer the operator licensing process for alcohol beverages for the village of Ashwaubenon. There's a couple changes. There's really kind of 4 primary changes to the policy through this amendment, and I'll walk through those just briefly here. The first one is related to incomplete applications. So under current policy, if an individual submits an application that is incomplete, and then oftentimes that's a situation where they did not include their full arrest or conviction record as part of the application, and during the background checks, it is identified that an item is missing on the application. Under the current policy, that would be the basis for administrative denial by the public safety chief, in which an individual then can appeal that denial to committee and to village board. And oftentimes what we've been seeing is that an individual may have inadvertently missed something. Maybe they didn't quite understand the question. By and large, the forms that we use are forms that are devised by the state. So we're trying to make it as comprehensive as we can as to how much information that we give to the individual completing the application so they understand what information is required. In fact, Chris and Beth, our deputy clerks, spend a great deal of time explaining that at the time the applicant arrives at Village Hall. With this amended policy, what it would effectively do is it would give the chief an opportunity to have a conversation with that applicant in advance of issuing their denial, thereby allowing for that applicant to resubmit an amended application, albeit with a resubmitted fee, so that we can just review it. Again, just because there may be just a basic misunderstanding of what's necessarily required as part of the application, it gives that individual an opportunity to do that so that they could theoretically be approved. We've had a few instances in the recent past where an applicant has missed something. It would, let's say, normally based on the nature of the conviction, be a basis for denial, but because of the timing of that conviction, it could be, let's say, 10 years old, and it would no longer qualify as a basis for that denial, so it would get approved. Again, under this, it would allow that person to amend the application administratively and then theoretically be approved. In the event the chief identifies that they just don't feel comfortable with the individual submitting or resubmitting an amended application, let's just assume that we really think that they somehow didn't forget because the arrest was 6 months ago and the conviction came 3 months prior or post-arrest, it would be pretty difficult to discern whether or not that individual forgot. So in that case, it would be denied administratively, but the applicant would still have the ability to appeal that denial. So nothing removes the ability of that applicant to appeal an administrative denial, thereby giving that applicant an opportunity to address you as a committee and the village board.
So Joel, this is all before it comes to the board, to the committee?
Correct. So the chief, we could administratively manage that inadvertent omission without them having to go through a formal appeal process. Again, in the event that we feel like, no, they were genuinely being dishonest with the application, we would simply deny it as we have in the past. And if they wish to appeal, they would be more than able to do so under the policy as it currently stands today. And so that's related to the incomplete and admission of information. The other two main components to the amendment are based on denial. So in the current policy and under current code, with the exception of an omitted or inadvertent omission, there was nothing explicitly stating that the denial will result in an inability for an applicant to reapply for a certain duration of time. Under this application, or under this amended policy rather, the applicant, once they are officially denied, they would no longer be able to reapply for that application for at least 1 year from the date of which it is denied. So if the chief denies it, that's the date of denial. If they wish to appeal that denial, then that extends that date further until the final determination is made based on that appeal. So let's say chief denies it September 1st, letter goes out. Then they file an appeal. Their appeal technically wouldn't come until October. So when the village board meeting occurs in October, that's the actual date of denial. It would be based on the date of that final appeal. And so that's a component that's being added. And then lastly, the appeal of the denial. In the event an individual wishes to appeal an administrative denial, they would have to do so within 30 days of the denial notice. So the clerk's office, when they receive the recommendation from the Public Safety Department, a letter is prepared, it is mailed, it is dated. The date of that letter would indicate the amount of time that they would then have to appeal. It's not postmarked, it's not received, it's the date in which the letter is dated. Sometimes that could come 10 days after the mail is received. We have no way of controlling the post office and its delivery time schedule. What we can control is once that denial has been determined here, that we can date that letter and send it out based on that acknowledgement that the denial has occurred. Other than that, that is really the main changes or amendments. There may be some changes or amendments for grammatical errors or formatting or revision dates, things of that nature. But those are the three really major changes through the amendment. And I don't know if Chief Rolling or Chris have any comments on that beyond what was described.
Any questions?
The only question that I had is, how many of these are we kind of dealing with in a month? I get what we see, but how many behind, because obviously there's more happening behind the scenes. How many of them are you guys seeing?
Since July 1st, we saw 41,
Okay,
and it's every year, it's
yeah,
going more.
it's going up and up and up.
Between 450 and 500 is what we have,
Yeah,
and that's a 2-year period for each cycle.
okay. So the only question I have then is from an administrative standpoint, and Chris, I get you have to do everything you have to do. Chief, instead of everything having to funnel through you, could we add your command staff in here as well? So that it's not, everything has to come to you. You got a lot on your plate, is this one thing that you could say, all right, Nick, you're doing this one, or Tom, you're doing it. I appreciate that you want to do all of them, and I think it's great, but I'm just trying to look at, the volume of time that you have and everything that you have to be doing. Could this be amended so that one of your command staff could also?
I think we could put chief or designee. In fact, I know I was doing these when Chief Dunning at the time was gone or had left, and I was back. So we can certainly put designee in here if Joel thinks that, just to assist. It's not too difficult. You either are filling it out correctly or not, and it's
But you
then it's the call. But you're
you
right.
still gotta go
That's
look them up,
that's
you
what-
gotta do, and your busy day.
Yes, sir.
That would be my only thought with it, is to maybe add that designee in there, just amend it to that. Otherwise, I think this is great.
If I can just say one thing too, and calling these people now and getting a little bit more history on what they're missing. Like Chris was saying, and Joel as well, the clerks do a great job when they come in person, and they're told, fill this out completely. If you got a jaywalking ticket, just put it down anyways, just in case. And those you can really tell. The ones that are missing now are the ones that are saying their bosses gave it to them, and they're not really worried about it, kind of quote unquote paraphrasing. So, I mean, I don't know how we make it better to the businesses to say, hey, fill this out completely, because if you don't, you may have it denied and have to spend a Tuesday night in here and then another Tuesday night a couple weeks later. So if I can just throw that in there for
As well as your guys' time, because then you gotta redo everything multiple times. That's just taken away from your time too, so. Yeah,
I have a question. If someone gets approved, I mean, they have a good record and they get their license approved, and then 2 months later they commit a crime, can we pull their license?
Yeah, you can. So we may not necessarily be aware of it, but others may be, in which point there is a statutory process for a license revocation. So basically you would have to follow that statutory process to go through revocation. There's a hearing that's required, evidence has to be presented, really acts as a quasi judicial matter, at which point then the village could revoke its license so long as it follows that very strict procedural step of revocation.
Thank you.
And one thing I think also, some of these that we are going to deny or we have denied because of the guideline violations, they're also told that, and a couple times they'll call back and ask for clarification, and we'll give that to them. So they're not always just coming here as well looking for an appeal. I think they're realizing, I don't have a snowball chance here, do I? So a lot of times they'll ask us that question, what's my chances? And of course, we can't give them any legal advice, but they have that right to come to you for that appeal, whether or not they want to do that. I think some of them are seeing the writing on the wall that, like you're asking, oops, that was in the time frame. Yeah, I'm not going to win this.
Sorry, and I know Chris wants to add something. So just tied to that question about revocation, there is also a non-renewal process. So let's say in the event an individual's issued a license and at some point during that licensing period, an offense has occurred that normally would have otherwise denied them the ability to obtain a license. So at that point, when the annual license or the renewal, the 2-year renewal is due, we conduct background checks on those 450 applicants again. In the event that we discover that there's now a record on that individual, we would go through a non-renewal process then. So it's not necessarily a revocation, but we would go through the process of non-renewal, so they would no longer be eligible to obtain the license for that next licensing period.
Thank you.
Chief, how long, in time, how long does it take to go over an application? You got hours into that, or do you just type in the name and it blows up in the screen and?
It is a process. What's great is we have a former Brown County dispatcher, so she's very good at what she does as far as checking the names and whatnot. We only can go so far into these checks, which she does, and then that comes back to me, and then I'll go through the records. But some of them are very thick. I can't give you a time. It
They
takes
vary
probably-
from application to application.
It does depend
Yeah,
on the
because,
record. If
you know,
it's-
that's the point I always bring up here is, you guys do a great job on doing it, and we are gonna give a questionable one, let's say we approve it, and I'm saying, all the time you spent in it just went down the drain. That's what.
That's their due process.
Yeah, that's one of the questions I have. Okay,
Chris?
Gary, I think Chris wanted to add a few comments.
So, couple things. Before it even gets down to public safety, Jenny does a background check, and she also does CCAP. So, in the clerk's office, we do, certain background checks, and then it goes down to them. But I wanted you to know that anytime someone's denied, they do get the policy to read. And we do have a lot of owners or managers of these places that will call instead of the person and say, well, they want to appeal and they had an OWI in 2025. And I said, well, if you want to go on our website, it is listed on our website, and make sure that that person understands where they stand. So just so you know that we do.
so it starts with you, actually. Oh, okay, well, I didn't know, I wasn't aware of that.
And you're pushing all the information, you're doing everything you can to say, hey, guys, it's straight policy, this is what's gonna happen. But, so I'll make the motion to recommend to the village board to adopt the operator's license approval policy with the addition of chief and designee.
Second.
And first, okay, yeah, and a second, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay. Items for next agenda, as usual, anything, bring it up to the staff. If not, I'll obtain a motion to close the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
First and second to adjourn the meeting, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried, thank you very much.